Hi,
Yeah, hi.
so I'm Dimple Parmar, your host for today's cancer healing journey. Will be having a conversation around your journey. Um, this is a project from Loving
Okay.
and Zenonco.io. So we talk to survivors, caregivers. I would like to call conquerors, caregivers, patients, and healers, healthcare professionals in cancer to share their experiences and learnings, so that other people also get motivation and experience. They learn from others' experiences, how to navigate with this new world of cancer and on this journey. So, as a part of the same series, we thought of inviting you for a conversation of your journey. And today is Brain Cancer Day, so I think this day could not have been better than talking to you about this. Since
Yeah.
so, I would request you to introduce yourself and.
Actually, Dimple, this is breaking. I mean, your voice is
Oh,
breaking, and this.
okay.
So I think uh, I cannot hear you. Maybe I'll log in with something else. Is that okay?
I
Hello.
hear you. So I can, even write the questions in the chat.
No, I'll just change the Wi-Fi connection. Is that
Okay.
okay? Can
Yeah,
I do it?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Hello.
Okay, wait. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. So I'll request you to please introduce yourself and about your journey, when you were diagnosed, how the journey navigated since then, and about the initial news of getting to know that you have cancer, how you and your family navigated through that phase.
Uh, sure. And first of all, thank you for inviting me in this. I'm really honored to share my experience so that I can support like other cancer survivors or caretakers. And actually, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor in 2013, August.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it was like the headaches, the symptoms were.
Okay.
Uh, very like strong headache. Like I used to pull my hair, I used to hit against wall to get like to give more pain so that it won't hurt me.
Yeah.
And then it's like when I used to bend to grab something and all, I used to feel something, everything flowing downwards and then flowing backwards. So what I thought it could be some asthma related something, so could be that. So went to ENT and all, and they thought like I'm more stressed, and they suggested me to visit the psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And even they confirmed that no, you are really stressed and nothing else, that's why headaches and all. And they gave me a lot more medicines. But thank God, like I did not take anything, but I know it's not stress or anything because I'm not stressed at that time. And then so my dad suggested, why don't you go to neurophysician? So then he suggested for CT because of the symptoms, headache and vomiting symptoms. So CT, and then came to Hyderabad, the Apollo, and then MRI there, and then they referred me to the neurosurgeon actually.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I came to know that it's a tumor, but no cancer at that time. So I was really happy and looking forward the surgery because that will give me relief from headaches. So even my mother was looking up to that, okay, with that same thing thought. But then doctors had discussion with my brother, not with me or my mother, that I may lose my eyesight or my limbs or even walking. Could be
Okay.
any of it, could be all of it. So I
Mm-hmm.
didn't even know all that things. But right of the surgery, it was very aggressive surgery and for 4.5 hours. And doctors almost removed, 99% of it.
Mm-hmm.
So my facial nerves and optical nerves, everything got affected.
Okay.
So I lost my eyesight. I lost my talking ability, hearing ability, and couldn't even walk. Actually, totally, it was wiped as a clean slate. I became like a clean slate. And then I was there, like, it took more than like almost 1 year to even start seeing. It was like all bubbles for me, water images or blur images.
Okay.
So after 1 year, I started to have at least a visibility like this. Okay, even when I was in the hospital, it was like every day it's a trouble. I mean, I don't know whether I'll make it or not. Every single day it was like that. I
Yeah.
got affected lungs infection, pneumonia.
Yeah.
Again underwent tracheostomy. So that
Okay.
pipe was there. Yeah, for 3.5 months, I could not even open a mouth or
Okay.
could not speak. And my mother was worried that whether I can speak or no at all.
Yes. Yes.
And face paralysis come. I could not move anything on my face actually.
Um,
I remember like my brother used to ask me, please give a smile, please give a smile. I didn't even know how to tell that no, I'm smiling inside. I'm trying, but it's not visible. I cannot tell or I cannot show.
yeah.
I cannot even write because I can't see properly. I mean, no a vision thing. But doctor's support was so amazing. Then my creatinine shooted up to 6. And then doctors were in confusion state whether to do dialysis or no because I already have a lung infection.
Yeah.
So again, doing a whole and dialysis is a very thing. So doctor advised against it, and they, gave me some medicines and increased my inflow of intake of water and outflow of that, so that it started to reduce after 1 week. Point by point, it started to decrease,
Mm-hmm.
and then the radiation started. Actually, my surgery happened in a brainstem where all you've tied up your hair and these things on. Huh? So it was a bulge, okay? The this much size of bulge was there. So
Oh.
for the radiation, what they do is you have to lay down on the table. They clamp it to table so that you don't move and the radiation is very straight to it. So because of that bulge, it when they press it just used to go back, and I used to uh, lose my consciousness. I used to go, unconscious thing. So
Yeah.
again, it has to be cancelled, and again, that process was like very. Every day was, I was like, no, I don't want radiation. I don't want radiation. I don't want to go because that was very painful.
Yes, it is. It is.
So yeah, after that, for a while, like, okay, I completed that radiation part. Because after the surgery, I got this fits, syncopatal thing in the morning. So one day I had a fall. I fell right off the this thing surgery and all. And again, that was a panic situation because I underwent surgery, this thing, and I had fall, got bumped here, and then again was taken to scan and all. The thing is, okay, I successfully got discharged from the hospital, removed my this tracheostomy thing.
Yeah.
Even after coming home, I was on my Riles tube only. Actually, even before discharging the hospital, I was given the physio sessions.
Okay.
Okay, so they taught me like how to sit on the chair, how to walk, front ways, back ways, sideways, and all, and then how to swallow, everything, each and everything. They taught me whatever they could, and on the process over the time, I learned everything how to, relearn. I can say, like,
Yeah.
kids, they learn everything by themselves. You don't have to teach. But for me, it was like they have to teach me. I like because I don't know how can you tell me how to do that. Like I used to ask my mother things and all. Got staff.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah. It my internet went off, so I changed.
Oh,
Yeah. Sorry
okay.
about that. Yeah. Please, you were sharing something. Sorry about
I mean, yeah, I have to relearn everything from the hospital, and then again ask my parents like how you do that, how you do that, and all like the eyes. I have still my eyeballs doesn't move sideways even now.
that. Mhm.
I've developed a squint after the surgery. Because of that, I have a double vision even now.
Even
So my sorry.
even now.
Yeah, even now, I gave the prism sticker actually that helped me have a single vision.
Okay.
But I have a very limited straight view. That's it. I can't look sideways. And because of that, there's no sync between my eyes. I don't have the depth perception. I mean, I don't know whether there's a pit, how depth is it. Even while climbing stairs or descending stairs, I really can't, measure like how much strength I need to put in, whether it's high or low or
Okay.
something,
Yeah.
so I still have problem because so I can't do what I want to do. I can't go anywhere. I'm dependent totally because of all this,
Yeah.
because I can't see properly. I can't. I lost even my balance. Almost like 4 or 5 years after that, I got my balance properly. I mean, I used to sway when I walk because I can't walk properly.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to sway a lot. People used to think I may fall off, but I know I'm not falling, but I used to sway.
Yeah.
Before even giving these glasses, I used to bump into doors, into walls, because I can't see properly and have double vision. I can see two doors, but I don't know which is the original one. So I used to bump things and all. And then I underwent surgery for eye surgery in 2015,
Mm-hmm.
but it was not successful. They tried to do that eyeballs correction thing, not successful. I have a dry eyes and dry mouth. Because of dry mouth, as absence of saliva, I lost a protection layer to my teeth. So they became so brittle. Even if I bite a biscuit, my teeth will chip off. So I underwent 12 root canal treatments, and all my four wisdom tooth have to be extracted. Every dental procedure is very painful than my radiation. I silently cried on that dental chair, because of these pains and all. Mm,
I can understand all the
Yeah,
visits they had to take out.
take out and 12 root canals, and on that root canal, I can't open my mouth. I have limitations. I can't take more pain.
Yeah.
So it can't be even done at one sitting. It has to be done at 2 or 3 sittings. And
Yeah.
every time anesthesia, that things and all. So saliva actually plays a very important role, which no one doesn't even know or doesn't care about.
Yeah.
I know that value. And because of that dry mouth thing, I can't even eat anything spicy now. I can't feel anything.
Yeah.
And dry eyes, I could have lost my cornea because of that thing, dryness in that. No, I frequently, use drops to keep it moist and all. So the dry eyes and dry mouth, the dry vision, double vision, the balance issues, everything are still there.
Okay.
But I'm better. I'm better. When you compare every day, it's improving. I can say. It was like at times because of the radiation, I lost my hair and it was not clean shaved. And here and there, patches and all, like no eyebrows and things. So when I moved here to this apartment and all, people got scared to look at even me. And I went to, but I didn't know. I didn't. My face totally changed. Actually, I don't know how the surgery made my face change. It took me like around 3 years to accept my face because I got this like 25 years of age. Your brain knows, right, how you look.
Yeah.
So when I look in the mirror, it's not me, it's someone else. It took really long time for me to accept it, and I really wasn't even looking at mirrors.
Hmm.
Anyway, I can't see properly, but still, even if I look at it, I can recognize that's me. It used to take a moment for me to recognize, yeah, that's me.
Okay.
So the face has changed completely, and because paralysis, one side improved while I'm in the hospital, one side it didn't improve at all. So it used to be lagging, so to one side. And after discharge, the physiotherapy my face went on to for 2 years. And what was that was electronic stimulation. They used to kind of give me shock things so that stimulate my nerves, and that was another painful thing. So that's how, and then I was getting like really not happy staying at home, with all these things in mind. My brother kind of approached an advertising agency because that's what I like. So to let me giving all my things, and like, she'll be coming to the office just for staying 3 to 4 hours so that she'll feel good and all. And wonderful human beings, they agreed. You know, I wasn't able to walk properly, see properly, talk properly because of the paralysis thing. Still, they agreed to let me in, and from there I'm still with them. Now they gave me that HR to look after HR things and all because it's not much stressful. And prior to all these things, I did my MBA in international business and worked for Royal Bank of Scotland for 1 year in Chennai and at the London head office and the treasury and all. And then I came back home because all my education, everything was away from home, hostels and all. So I just wanted to stay with parents and all. That's why I came home, and then boom, this thing came up. Everything is fine now, I can say, because I don't want to think like, no, I can't see yet. I can't do. I love playing badminton, but now I can't do because I can't estimate, or I can't. That will, give me kind of bumpy thing in the head and gets headache and all. I really can't do anything what I want to. Basic things like, playing badminton or running, walking like everyone else. I can't go step out on the roads because I can't see properly. You know, all these things, but I don't want to look at all that way. I'm fine. I am gonna do it. I'm not giving up. Never. I'm not accepting defeat.
Wow, I mean, I got goosebumps hearing your journey because such a difficult phase of life, and yet here you are today accepting it very gracefully and then working, and it's like you are trying to bring it back to normal, and it is.
Yes or no?
I couldn't see, that you have gone through this journey at all. Even by looking at you, I could not figure out the difference. So
Yeah.
that's off to you and your family who was with you. So wanted to
Yeah.
know, like, when you were going through the journey, um, I'm, I mean, after hearing you, I got to know that it was a very difficult journey going through the multiple treatment procedures and
Yes.
painful, that too, very, very painful. Anything on your face and it pains really hard. So,
Yeah.
how did you navigate with that? What was the motivation, or how, from where you were getting your courage to do this, to go through this entire process?
I could give that, credit to my family and the doctors, the nurses, everyone. I know I had placed my trust on my doctors, and I know every second, every moment, there's so much struggling, and I don't want to give up. For the sake of family or anything. I was just 24 or 25 when I was diagnosed, and I had many more dreams and visions about my life. So I planned my education that way. I wanted to be a business, and I used to tell my friends, start reading newspapers. One day you will definitely read about me. That I'm gonna be a successful businesswoman. That was my dream. Okay. So when I was in the wheelchair or stretcher, I used to look around people in the hospital, but they're all of my age and they're literally walking properly, smiling, everything. But why I am like this? No, I can't do like this. I need to get over all these. I need to go and chase my dreams.
Of course.
That was kind of thing. But now, even though my dreams are not so, but I want to have a happy and healthy life. I wish that for everyone.
Mhm.
That line is very simple. Health is wealth. You know, Only if you have health, anything you can do. Otherwise, you can't do anything. So I just see people running around for material things, but they don't realize they're losing their health.
Yeah, true.
Seriously.
Mm.
And the condition I put on my family of parents is never break down in front of me. So no sympathy, no breaking down in front of,
Yeah,
no crying, no nothing, no nothing.
yeah,
So they even, but I can see their eyes. They were so red. They used to cry and all, but not even once they broke in front of me because that will weaken you. If people start showing sympathy, you will get weakened. So nothing. And the thing is, my family is really big. My dad got six siblings and all. But what my brother did was like till 6 months, no one know other than my mom, dad, my brother. That's it. No one came to know. So
Mhm.
that's what it helped even more, you know. Too much of visitors to the hospital, too many things, you know, keep on the people, you know, they are very opinionated and judgmental.
Yeah.
That will even hamper your growth or decision making skills in the hospital and all, you know.
Yeah.
Everyone gives starts giving suggestion things and all. So that was at all not at all there because of my brother's decision. He
Okay.
didn't allow anyone, he didn't let anyone know at all. He made all the process peaceful and you know completely with it. You know, they even not having to eat or anything at all. Just a second, I got dry.
Yeah.
I need to keep
Right.
moistening my thing
Yeah.
because of dryness.
What's
And
that when you were diagnosed?
sorry,
Oh,
ependymoma, ependymoma.
okay.
It was grade two.
Grade two. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you were saying something.
And no, that's what like dry thing and all. Radiation time and all. It was like you know pretty hard for my family.
Mm-hmm.
And every time for me because of that this bulge on the backside, I wasn't able to take the radiation.
Mm-hmm.
So every week they used to do lumbar punctures for me. They
Okay.
used to take off that CHF from the spine.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like I used to be in a position like you know so like this so that spine has to you know they used to put a needle to my spine for 1 hour, and that CSF liquid used to come drop by drop, drop by drop, drop by drop. Yeah, until this bulge is normal, that liquid has to come up. Then it's fine, and that can go for a week, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Then again the bulge used to be normal. Every day it used to increase, and again after the week I used to go this lumbar puncture things and all. And my even doctors were worried to do that because it will affect my spine in future, like backbone and all, because of too many lumbar punctures. But they had no choice. So even after like you know, it took more than a year for that bulge to go off. You know, everything properly,
Yeah.
and that liquid in the brain, I mean in the head, used to give pressure on my optical nerves.
Okay.
So and my optical nerves were swollen actually.
Okay.
And my this neuro-ophthalmologist, he was so worried to look after scan reports and all, that the nerves are swollen and the pressure increases, that I my nerves could something happen to my nerves, I
Yeah.
can lose my eyesight forever,
Okay.
because it's all the nerves, right? And he wants my neurosurgeon to do something about the liquid, the fluids. And whereas my neurosurgeon, he was reluctant to do any procedure because stent has to be kept
Yeah.
inside so that that liquid come to my this pituitary gland and come out. He was so reluctant because that could be another disaster. You need to keep opening that my brain thing here to put that, and sometimes it could be blocking or it could start leaking and all. It's another headache, and he doesn't want to do anything. He just want to wait. So that was a very tensed part in that. It was like everything for me. Either if you do something, something else will happen.
Mm-hmm.
If you do something else, else will happen. It's like you need to weigh whichever is less risky and all, then to go ahead with that. So it was all like that, you know, all these years.
Yeah. Very sorry to hear that you had to go through that, and you as well. But I'm very happy to know that you have recovered from that and you are now sharing your inspiring journey with everyone. I mean, I'm sure it has its own side effects which you are facing every day, but
Yeah,
you are shining bright here and ready to take up more challenges of life. What?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's all, you know, the caregivers, what you say, the family, the doctors, you know, they have been incredible. My neurosurgeon, he used to travel abroad often, even when I was in the hospital. But not even once, he always used to message the doctors asking about me. He took this case as challenging. uh, And he thought I'm his own actually. Even till day, I'm his favorite patient. His
Oh,
name is
wow.
Alok Ranjan. Yeah,
Yeah.
Alokranj from Apollo Hospital, Hyderabad.
Okay.
So he made entire team look after me even in his absence actually. The nurses, the doctors and my family. I couldn't have done anything without them.
Okay.
Seriously.
Yeah, the medical staff and the family was
Yeah,
it.
nurses. Yeah, even the nurses after my discharge, they used to come my home and visit, whenever they have break.
Okay. That's really
So it was really that because I was there for almost 3.5 to 4 months. And my mom is really good PR.
great.
Have- so it's like even I'm in touch with my doctors even now, we sometimes chat, they sometimes ask about me. The nurses, even they got married, they have kids, I'm in touch with them, the family. It was like they became another part of my life.
Wow.
And the management, even I gained so much of confidence after starting going to office. No one discriminated it. Everyone encouraged me actually,
That's so good.
to do it. I know if I speak, people can't understand. I know, but still they encouraged me to do things. And there are at the same time, there are setbacks even, because of that, my different looks, no anything, my half paralysis face and eyes, I went to movie irrespective of all that because in my brain my face is something different.
Yeah.
What I look. So I went there. There are times where I sat. People who sat next to me just got up and went and sat somewhere else, and people were not talking or kind of making faces when they look at me. I had all that. That was all like very heartbreaking things.
Yes. Yeah.
But still, you need to come out of it. You need to motivate yourself, and you need to come out of it. You can't give up.
Yeah, very well.
That's it.
Do you think cancer is still a taboo in the society?
Sorry.
Do you think cancer is still a taboo in the society?
I think so actually, sometimes like, I can just say even example of my own friends who are very good friends to me. After knowing me, after seeing my looks, some people have blocked even me, That's where I realized, okay, they are not even my real friends.
Yeah. They're not.
Yes, seriously, that's a good thing, People, I don't think even people literally accept you you
Okay.
know that once you're cancer survivor, even that's how if I want to this a HR thing, actually I don't like the HR thing, I like the challenging job. Then
Yeah.
my management is not ready to give me, they don't want to pressurize me. So even if I want to apply outside, I'm because of my thing, I know people may not accept me. They think like, oh, why take a risk as a cancer thing. People kind of keep you keeps a distance. I know it. Not everyone comes and talks to me properly or things, either be it because of the looks or whatever. And so now I look much better, but earlier it was different. And kind of they maintain distance.
But
Even though nowadays you see cases in everyone's family, it became so common, but still few people are really great to accept. At the same time, there are the same kind of people who can't.
okay.
You
Yeah,
know,
it's sad to hear that there is still a taboo about cancer. Some people think that, I mean,
untouchable thing or something.
it is
Like yeah, untouchable disease or something.
right very well. So, actually, it's a taboo. You know, people who have cancer, people look at them from like, oh, you have cancer, and then they ask start
Yeah,
asking many questions. If you have survived, then still a problem. Oh, you have cancer. Oh, you should take care of it.
yeah,
Might come back or something like that. And if you are a cancer, then also, oh, your baby has cancer, your daughter has cancer, like that. So,
yeah. Actually, my mother was very healthy, but after seeing me go through all the things, she really became, half of what she is. Like, her
oh,
strength and all.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel guilty about that. Oh, because of me, they are like became like that. My father couldn't concentrate on business things and all, incurred losses, things.
Yeah.
But still, they support me, look after me. And so that's why even I don't want to give up because of them. For them,
Right.
when I discuss all this, the problems I face with my doctors, they were like, "You never get satisfied. You shouldn't be alive. You are alive. Be happy with that." That's a response I get from my doctor. I take it as 40. Yeah, I'm alive. There is some purpose. There is some reason. I need to.
Right. Right.
Yeah, all my doctors say that if someone sees all your reports and all, and if they see you, they don't believe that you're the one who gone through all that.
Yeah, I don't believe that honestly, but you are live example of that. Thank you for when you were,
Yeah, they call me fighter.
yeah, you are fighter and winner. So when you were going through the journey, who were your biggest support apart from the doctors and your family? Is there anything else, not just the people, but anything else you did what helped you in your recovery?
I used to sketch,
Stitching.
sketching. I love painting and I do pencil sketches.
Wow.
Even without proper vision, I wanted to something to do my neurosection doctor. I
Oh,
drew his sketch. I drew his portrait. So I
wow.
did sketching. I used to play guitar. I mean, even though I can't, but actually what happened is because I'm actually getting more infections in the hospital. In the hospital, they discharged me from the hospital, put me in the guest house in the campus hospital premises, and doctors used to come in the morning after doing all their rounds to this guest house actually to look after me. And they did not even allow the nurse actually to look after me. They want my family only to look after me.
Okay.
Because the care the family shows, the nurses can't show.
Yeah.
That's what they thought. So they taught all the procedures to my, because I was a tracheostomy and I was having pneumonia, lungs infection. So that needs to be cleansed. They taught that thing to my brother and all. So I was in that guest house there where I used to try to play guitar things and all. I used to sketch, painting things and all. That's how I used to keep things.
Wow. That's nice. So maybe the art therapy, sketching, guitar, your hobbies,
Yeah.
very good.
And my brother consulted someone. They used to do healing sessions, something like that, when I was having a very terrible headache.
Okay. Did it
So
work? Did it help you?
no, actually, the headache didn't come.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you try any like walking or just going maybe not out but in the home itself, maybe some breathing exercises, some food habits change or anything else you did?
When I was in the hospital or discharged.
Last few years, I mean, during the hospital,
Yeah.
after the treatment, any of this entire process.
Yeah, during the hospital, I wasn't having energy at all actually to do.
Yeah.
But my brother or my mom, they were never giving up. They used to make me walk at least from door till the wall in the room. Or actually, because I'm not in the hospital as an inpatient, I they used to take me. The campus is a big, in Hyderabad Apollo Hospital. The campus is quite big with all the trees and all, the temple and all. So my brother used to put me in the wheelchair and used to take me out all over that lawns and the roads to the temple and all. He used to just take me in the, even though I can't see properly, but I can see the bubble images and all. And still, he used to take me around the outside. And when I was in the hospital, so he also used to take me in the wheelchair to the top stairs where there's a glass floor. Okay, you
Yeah.
can see something outside. I didn't want to go in that because when I see people around me walking, that used to make me really hurt and feel bad. But he wasn't giving up. He used to take me to the top floor and make me see everything.
Wow.
Even actually, it's against rules in the hospital that the family shouldn't take care of the wheelchair things and all. It's
Yeah.
a trained staff has to take, because if something happens, it will be they responsible. Right? Family can't handle that wheelchair things properly. And my brother used to give up, if you want to walk with me, but I will only take my sister. He was like that. So even doctors know, so it kind of like a chelta hai. Overall, after a few days and all, I used to wait for that when my brother will take me to the doctor
Wow.
and see outside.
Yeah,
It turned that way.
yeah, it's family support is very much needed. Some activity, something is needed which you can do with others, and it definitely helps
Yeah,
recovery. Something to take your mind off from the treatment, from the pain and the things which are going on. So happy to
yeah.
hear that you have an amazing brother.
Eh, eh, yes, he lives in UK now.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, you want to see my mother? Say hello.
Yeah, yeah, of course, we'd love to.
I'll give a call. She's just kidding.
Yeah,
So how about you? I mean, like I saw something your posts and all in LinkedIn.
yeah. I lost my
Uh,
husband to cancer, and that's what motivated me to start this journey to help other cancer patients and the people who have gone through the journey.
I'm so
And
sorry to hear.
he had colorectal cancer, and so he passed away 2 years back. And since then, I started Levels Cancer and Xenon Glutathione. So me and Kishan, we both are together running these two organizations. He's my partner now. So
Oh,
we are working on helping cancer patients and integrating.
I yeah. See, that's what whatever you're doing is really, really awesome. It would have been very tough for you, and say, look, you're also doing something great. Seriously, it's not so easy.
Not,
Uh,
yeah.
in fact, and I lost one of my aunt and one of my uncles because of this cancer. Uh,
Hello, Auntie. How are you? Hello. How
Namaste.
are you? Namaste.
Telugu వచ్చా? You know Telugu? No, right?
No, either Hindi or English.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, it's a brave daughter you have.
It's kind of brave and safe.
Uh, Jenny, please convey that without her support, it could not have been possible. And
Yeah.
lovely,
Yeah,
wonderful.
seriously, that's what, like, my father is outside. If you don't mind, I can show him to you.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah,
Yeah, because actually, it's okay, right?
yeah, yeah. It's okay. It's completely fine. Yeah, yeah.
And like my dad lost his elder brother because of this cancer thing.
Oh,
So
okay.
doctors couldn't, identify that or diagnose that. By the time they could, it was like stage 4 and got spread all over the body.
Yeah.
So my father lost his brother and cousin sister. Actually, it's because she got diagnosed with a breast cancer.
Hmm.
It was so very the beginning stage she could have recovered, but she was so scared of the chemotherapy and all because you lose your hair. She didn't go for the treatments and it got spread and she passed away. And when she was like in the last stage, she wants to live. Is it okay? You have time?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We have time. Yeah. We'll just
And she okay. She could have recovered very well, but in the last stages, she wanted to leave and she wanted to do something, but it was too late by that. I
yeah.
saw them. I think it kind of motivated even me. Like here's my dad say,
Hello,
Hello, Uncle. How are you?
fine, fine. How are you?
I'm good too. I'm good. I was just talking to your daughter about her journey. Very inspiring, amazing journey she has gone through, and I'm sure it was not easy of what I heard to go through that. But she had amazing support from her brother, from you, from the mother as well, that she could go through it. Amazing, brave daughter you have.
brave daughter.
Yeah.
Correct. You are right.
Very brave. Yeah, I mean, it's not easy to go through all those process she has gone through. And when I looked at her in the beginning of the call, I couldn't even figure out like which cancer she had. And then she told me the multiple surgeries and everything. And then I was like, okay, no, you look very normal, very beautiful. This we cannot identify like what you have gone through. So thank you so much for. I mean, it's very very motivational journey, which will inspire many other people going through the similar journey, because people lose hope when they are in pain. They don't have courage. They don't have motivation because they are in pain. And I
Yeah.
you are such a young girl, but you have conquered it. So
Bye.
Bye, ma. Bye.
bye, bye, uncle.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And seriously, after losing my aunt, what I wanted to do is I'm from a small town. Okay, my place is small town. So what I wanted to do something like for women, all of the women, because everyone is so easy to get through this. Diagnosed with a breast cancer or this ovarian cancer or something. So I wanted to start an awareness things and all how to uh, check themselves, if they have any tumor things and all. I was having all that in my mind actually after seeing my aunt first. But I never know that I'll be diagnosed with the tumor cancer thing.
Uh, was it family history of cancer because of that, or it's
I don't know. Doctors couldn't say anything because it was a slow tumor, and ependymoma is something adults will not get it.
yeah, okay,
For me to get it, and they couldn't actually say anything,
yeah,
why because the reason and all, because like I don't even have any habits. All my schooling thing, it was stretched right after education
yeah.
and this job, 1 year to a job thing.
How old were you when
I
you were diagnosed?
Sorry.
How old were you at that time when you were diagnosed?
24.
Okay. Yeah,
I mean, after my MBA, it was just 2 years of education, and 1 year, like my brother got married. After that, only I got diagnosed.
mhm.
So it's like August 2012, my brother got married. August 2013, I underwent a surgery.
Got it. Yeah,
Yeah, it was like,
yeah. So when
uh,
we go through such a difficult times and a crisis in life, it teaches us a very important lessons of life. So can you please share your learnings or what lesson it taught you?
yeah. One thing I thought, life doesn't challenge you, the things which you can't take. It only gives you whatever you can take. And I can say many miracles have happened in my life, I can say at that time I may not know it, when I was going through, I like, why may I just completed, I haven't seen anything in my life, why all this, why am I being sick, like so many questions, why me and all. But you should stop thinking that way. You should be positive. You should count your blessings. Come and look the amazing family I have, the amazing doctors, that taken care of the hospital. Nowadays, you only see these things, hospitals, cheating you with more money and giving you the unnecessary treatments and medicines and all, so much bad rapport.
Yeah,
Look what happened in my case, the doctor's amazing, the
yeah.
family, now this everything, count your blessings.
I was exactly thinking about the same and you just said it.
Yeah, don't complain, count your blessings, look everything positive. See, you know it's not really possible to always be positive, agree. I had ups and downs, and don't wait for someone to come and motivate you. It's
Right.
your life, and you need to do it. You need to motivate yourself, you need to love yourself. Whatever the thing is, first you need to accept it. So because instead of questioning, I accept it. Okay, now there's no way out. I accept it. I got this. I have to deal with this. I have to go to the next stage, next phase.
Yeah.
That's it. And don't believe, I just joined the Zumba classes yesterday.
Wow. Refuge.
Yeah. Uh, Actually, in my apartment only a couple of 8 people. We are asking the person to come here itself
Nice.
because actually 2 years back, my oncology doctor suggested me because my body became so rigid, and so he suggested me to go Zumba. And
Wow.
me and my mom went around 3 to 4 centers around here, but no one was ready to accept me.
Yeah.
And I was really demotivated. All these rejections, sometimes you can't take. People are not ready to accept you. They are not ready to take me. I wanted to join. I kind of left. I started doing my own dance. Online videos. There are YouTube videos. You can put it on TV and you can try your own Zumba. You
Yeah.
don't have to do some.
That's
And
nice.
now because yeah, I started doing that.
Yeah.
So now actually we started from yesterday. Actually, couple of 8 people in the same apartment in the cellar.
Oh.
So I can't do everything, but I can do something. Something because there's no balance for me.
Mm-hmm.
Really have a balance issues. I can't climb stairs or descend stairs without the support.
Yeah.
I can't balance myself. Still, as long as my eyes are on proper, I won't be having any balance issues.
Mm-hmm.
So what I know that until unless my eyes get fixed, I won't be having any normal life.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm doing whatever
Not
I can.
okay when you don't, when yeah, you're okay with that. So
Yeah. I mean, I just hope and I still wish, please just let my eyes fix. I want to go back to my normal thing.
yeah,
I
meant
just
for you that your
yeah,
eyes get back to normal eyesight and what you wish you get that. Yeah.
yeah, it's all my eyes. I'll have like, normal like things I can do which I want to do.
Helpful to you. Yeah. So, what would be your message to other cancer patients and caregivers? What message you would want to give them?
See, I would want to never give up. Don't look on the negative side. Don't get demotivated. You have to. It's your life. You have to deal with it. Never allow anyone to sympathize you. Don't let anyone cry in front of you. That will weaken you. That will weakens you more. Don't let even your family close, like wife or mother or kids or anyone, don't let them get demotivated. Don't demotivate yourself. You
Wow.
will get through this.
Mm-hmm. No, you
You
have
will get through it.
very well. Never give up. You will get through it. Show the courage and the
Yes,
hope.
you will get through it.
Yeah.
So once you give up, no one can do anything. Not the medical medicines, not the doctors, not the family. Any treatments or anything work only if you are positive.
Yeah. Right. So the optimism, hopeful, and
Yes.
is very important, along with the family support which
Yeah.
you have already.
Yes. First you need to be strong. You need to be fighting. You need to kick out the cancer from your body.
Yeah.
Kick
Yeah.
it away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'd say I
Okay.
kicked cancer. I would say I don't know whether I can use this word. I kicked cancer's butt.
Oh, wonderful. I will use it now.
Yeah, I kicked its butt.
It cancers, but
Yeah.
yeah, you. I mean, you all think about it, and you just said it. So I can also use it now.
Yeah. You need to, there's no one gonna come and do anything unless you are ready.
Take your own responsibilities and get
Yes.
empowered, get all the support you need. Ask your family members, ask your friends, ask counselors like us to what support you need. So we call that okay,
Yes.
these are the caregivers for you. So
Caregivers, you need to be very strong. You also should never give up. Don't cry in front of them. Don't sympathize with them.
yeah,
You also don't give up. Be positive along with them.
caregivers, whatever they think, how they behave, it directly impacts patients. It's really important that caregivers are also stress free. That take care of their
Yeah, they go through a lot more emotionally than actual suffering person. I don't say don't cry, but just go cry somewhere else, but not in front of the patient or in front of your loved ones
Mhm.
who is
Right.
going through.
So thank you
Yeah,
for sharing that message for to all the caregivers that show the courage, don't cry in front of the patient, and gather all the strength you can to walk with your patient to in this
yeah.
journey. Yeah.
And also one more thing, sorry to interrupt. Don't ever allow people who just come to sympathize. Don't allow any visitors at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. It's all at the end. It's you and your loved ones. Forget about the society. Forget about the relatives. All who are very opinionated, judgment. Just exclude, delete all them from your life. It's you and your loved ones.
Yeah.
Uh, So it's that's all crap for that during that period.
Yeah.
You only have to keep the positivity around you.
Yeah, and I keep on hearing this from the cancer winners, conquerors that focus on your health. Don't worry about the
Yeah,
relatives and other
yeah.
family members. If nobody's understanding you, or stay away from the society, community, if they are not understanding you. So I hope
Yeah,
that one day all the members can understand what a cancer patient and caregivers go through, what they really need in this
yeah.
journey. They don't need your sympathy. They don't need your oh, I have cancer. What they need is okay. If you want to contribute, here are the ways you can contribute in my journey. Otherwise, please stay away. So
Yeah,
there are many people out there who want to help cancer patients, who want to help caregivers and survivors, winners, and it's not everybody is that bad. So just that we need to bring them closer in a community where so there are many conquerors who have survived cancer and they want to now help other people, or even somebody who knows what is cancer, like me. I mean, I was a caregiver once, but somebody who knows what is cancer and even they want to contribute. So that's where how we help each other. So yes, you're right. Stay away from the people who are not positive or who bring you down. But if health is wealth. Health is topmost priority, and if
yeah.
you have cancer, then you are the family concern. So take command in your health and just kick cancer's butt.
Yeah.
Lovely pleasure talking to you, Kirtana. I'm very,
Thank you.
yeah, very much touched by your journey. I can't even imagine the pain you have gone through, but very happy to see the smile on your face. And thank
Thank
you for
you.
trusting me to share your journey with me. And I'm sure that with Xenon-coded levels cancer, many other patients and caregivers
Yeah.
will be inspired with your journey, because I keep on hearing this simple patient is in pain. How can they be hopeful and show courage? And I can now give your example that yes, if she can, then you can too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And one more thing, I'm really happy to assist you, help you in any way. Once doctor told me, I recently went for the second opinion on my eye related thing. So he actually, because it's a first time he's seeing me, he has gone through all the reports and everything. That's what he told me after that. I won't believe you that it's you who has gone all through this. Least to least we'd expect someone on a wheelchair, but you're actually, walking, working, doing everything.
yeah,
Yeah, but still I was like this, kind of emotional actually. And he was like, he told me, you'll have more empathy now. You can understand someone else's pain when no one can. That's the one you got it. Like, seriously, empathy is something which we
yes,
got now.
yeah,
We can understand more human beings, now.
very right.
That's what he told me. I was like so happy and positive that I met him.
Uh,
Even though he said not to go any surgery now until for 3 to 4 years for my eyes, because it's still critical inside for
mm,
all the nerves and all. So let's see, maybe after 3 to 4 years I can get back my eyes normal.
I would love to see you after that again. But pleasure
Yeah.
talking to you. Thank you again, and would see you again soon. We do healing circles every Sunday, 5 to 6:30, where
Okay.
yeah, we do healing circle talks where people who have gone through the journey in any way, not just as a patient, but as a maybe caregiver, as a healer, as a doctor. So
Caregivers.
together, share our experiences, our learnings, guide each other. Would love to have you for the same. I'll share the details with you.